dive into the hearts of our culture, our challenges, and our truth as Pacific people. Tonight is extra special because it falls on Memorial Day. We recognize and honor the brave men and women, many from our own Pacific Island communities, who gave their lives in service to this country. Their sacrifice is not forgotten, and tonight's conversation carries with it the spirit of gratitude and remembrance for all. But before we begin, let's take a moment to get to know our panel, the amazing voices who joined us tonight to share their mana, their insights, and their truths. So let's get started. And before we start, let me start with having our panel introduce yourself. Moiliko, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Oh, my name is Morley Toa. Ola ngō Morley Toa Tuitele Jr. O ke sau mai le ngu o Leonge. And I'm over here in Chico, California right now. Talofa.
Go ahead, Kalani.
Talofa. My name is Kalandi Barber. I'm from the village of Tula. I'm actually residing right now in Bedford, Texas. And good to be part of the panel up here in Pulse of Polynesia. Alofa Tereat, and hopefully everybody will have a great time tonight.
Awesome. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, how's everyone doing? My name is Ron Pasala, originally from American Samoa, village of Malailoa. Currently residing in Anchorage, Alaska, and I'm glad to be here.
So, all right, let's go to the next one, Nyla.
Hi, I'm Nyla Anikitsui, all the way from the villages of Asu in American Samoa, and I'm currently residing here in Monterey, California. Talofa, talofa, talofa.
Awesome. And
Talofa.
our next one is Arlington. Go ahead, Arlington.
Yeah, Talafalava. So I hail from the village of Wailotai. So I carry the Matai name Tasiafe, first name Arlington. So some of you know me by Ali. So if you're online and we happen to share a topic on TikTok or somewhere, yeah, feel free to just refer me as Ali. My name on TikTok is Ali Depali. So
Yes,
I don't love it. So for mo malangi ma.
Talofa.
Thank you. Vi, are you able to hear us? Can you introduce yourself? All right, so Vi's having some technical difficulties, so let's start with the first question that we have. But before we start, we're gonna play a video. The first topic is from nationals to citizens. Are we missing out on preserving identities? All right, so let me play a video just to get this started. Right.
Ai le paihuma ara tātou whamisinonga, nonga I mea mo Samoa, wa iai le uma al whamisinonga.
So in the late 70s, our father represented the Poiloa family. High Chief Poiloa at that time of Malaimi village believed that the Mormons were taking lands in Malaimi that was owned by the family. It was communal land in that case. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and in the end, my father and the Poiloa family won. The Supreme Court granted the family back their lands. There were several other cases following that, but it was that first case that set the precedence for following cases.
The people of American Samoa are considered U.S. nationals. If nationals move off island to, say, California, they still can't vote or hold certain jobs unless they pay a fee and apply for citizenship. While the other major territories have achieved citizenship by birth through acts of Congress, it never happened in American Samoa.
What we call the U.S. citizenship case was an effort to make it a right for people born in American Samoa to be born U.S. citizens. The second important piece of that is that it's a decision that would be made by federal courts and not as the collective expression of the people of American Samoa.
Overlooking beautiful.
All right. So with that played, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Should U.S. territories like America's Samoa push to change from U.S. national status to full U.S. citizenship? Are we protecting our culture or just being left behind? What are your thoughts?
Who go first?
Go ahead, Maliko.
My opinion is I was born back home, be around my dad a lot. I'm against the thing about become citizens, because we're gonna lose a lot of our land. So I'm against it, and it's not fair for us that know what's going on and the new generation want to be citizen. Hey man, then you're gonna give up all your rights as ownership of the land back home. So that's my 2 cents about it,
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm with Monitor on that. I agree that we shouldn't be getting the U.S. citizenship for our people back home. Over here in America, if you want to become a U.S. citizen, yeah, go and pay for it and attend the class. But we have to be very preserved about the culture back home and the land. And for us here in the mainland to go about in doing all of that, it's not right for our people back home. That's how I feel.
So let me just add this, and I want you guys to remember that there are a lot of the younger generation that don't understand the importance of knowing the difference of what we're missing out and losing. So just keep that in mind when you do describe the reason. So who else would like to explain your thoughts and your decisions on what you think is best?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
So growing up in Samoa, with the land and everything, I never understand why my parents, my grandfather always said that, we have to protect the land and make sure that our family name is always there. And I'm pretty sure it goes to every village and every family out there. And that was the time that they were saying that, we make sure that nobody comes over here or anybody that it's not part of the family, because this is our land. Now now fast forward it right now. Now I realize that they want to preserve the land, that it's that they worked from ever since they were young and all that. And I think that times has changed. And I will go ahead and further it to where that I can decide that I'm all for it for the citizenship. And the thing about it is that citizenship is that I'm pretty sure that opportunities is one of the great things that I know that a lot of younger generations that are probably thinking that, with the world of technology and all that, I think a lot of these generations is all about having money and stuff like that. An opportunity that I'm talking about is that I see people that are actually selling their lands right now. So why not make it citizenship for everybody, so that way that we enjoy the freedom, just like the freedom here in the United States. So just to further our subject, I'm all for it. Why not?
Okay, we have someone that's in disagreement. Maliko, I see that you want to say something. Go ahead.
Okay. Because I know there's a lot of people hearing this too. I'm so against it, but my great grandfather was the one that was involved in signing all the stuff to look after our young ones in the future. To Telepenkila was involved in the deal with some other paramount chiefs. So for me, knowing how it is, I want to lose a lot of land, because I know we have a lot of land, my family, and that's why if I'm here, if I'm going to become a citizen, yeah, okay, you get all the privilege, but overall, you're going to go end up back home, like how I feel now. I want to go back home, Oh, I was young, like all these young, generation now, they want to be citizens. But at the end of the day, When you become 50, if you make it at 50, you're gonna go home. And then you're gonna go home, you have no rights now from the people that been living on the land. Like, look, you're family, but you have no voice over here now. You're a citizen of America, not American Samoa. So I rather protect what we got and trying to keep the value, of our national, U.S. national. I can be U.S. national. I can get all the benefits like a U.S. citizen. It's just the voting that we don't get, which is fine with me. I can vote. I can vote for my Matai. That's all. But that's my saying about it. I'm against it. This life move on. We were young too, just like these people. They wanted to be citizens, but come to find out, it's just a scam. And that's my say about it.
Thank you,
Against it,
Phil.
what my brother Kalani's saying. Come on, man. I got a
Thank you,
lot of
Phil. Go
land
ahead,
back home,
Kalani.
man.
Follow. Yeah, I totally understand where Brother Toll is from.
Right, yes, sir.
Just recently, when I visited Samoa, I see a lot of changes right now. And like I said before, I think life is different now as far as how everybody is, where they're living in, where they're residing in. But to me, I think that why not feel the freedom of, if somebody wants to come down there and, buy a land or something, just go ahead and make it. Just go and make it a business. You'll be rich. But the thing of it is that I'm pretty sure that for the opportunity that a lot of these younger generations that are actually aiming for their goals and all that kind of stuff and everything. And some of them are probably thinking that why not have the same freedom up here in the States, just like all the citizens. And I know that there's a process to go through as a national, but why not be a natural born citizen from the island in that way that they can enjoy the freedom? So I'll stick to my decision, and I will always understand where the two sides come from. I think that it's a good thing to be a natural born citizen of the United States when you're born in American Samoa.
Thank you, Kalani. I know Maliko is going to say something, but let's hold on to that. And then let me jump down to either Arlington or Ron. Did you two one of you wanted to step in?
Ron, I know you got to leave, so I'd like to hear your input, and then I'll jump in.
Sure, I appreciate it. Well, I think for my opinion is basically I'm against it, and I just got a few pointers to kind of point out, and this is just solely based on um my own personal upbringing and based on my own opinion, right? So first is I'm looking at the land and Matai system protection. So if we're looking at U.S. citizenship, it's almost like this could trigger constitutional challenges to land ownership and restrictions based on race and ancestry. And then also, when it comes to American Samoans retaining land exclusivity for Samoans, the protection of communal land and inheritance under the Matai system could be a challenge under U.S. citizenship. So that's my take on land and Matai protection. And then we're looking at something on the basis of cultural autonomy, right? The current status provides some kind of flexibility to maintain traditional practices like the Matai title system and village councils and without federal interference, right? Now, we involve U.S. citizenship, that could pose a challenge to having village councils and the Matai title system kind of ruling and governing over the families. Having U.S. citizenship poses a challenge to that. And then we look at the aspects of religious and educational freedom. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, we have local control over our faith-based schooling and culturally rooted education. Having these U.S. citizenship could pose federal mandates and could pose a challenge on that aspect of teaching our children as how we were raised. I mean, as we all we all came up in the schooling system back in American Samoa, the culture was very rooted in our educational upbringing. So that's another part. Having U.S. citizenship could pose a challenge. because we're inputting our cultural values into a U.S. system where you never know, you might have congressional challenges that come about doing education that way. And also, let's just say the political voice without losing our self-governance. That might be a big thing. Even though we can still serve in the military, we can carry U.S. passports, we can receive federal aids, but that doesn't guarantee equal political representation when we're going to have U.S. citizenships. And I guess, my last point is if you look at other U.S. territories like the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, they still have ongoing struggles in regards to legal battles and over their citizenship and over rights that they have over their lands and the struggles that they're having. So in American Samoa, we can kind of successfully retain our traditional values and structure by keeping national status. As we were all growing up, as I was growing up, I'd always see families or new families come in from the States to say, oh, my parents wanted to come back to Samoa. And me growing up, going to elementary, going to high school, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to grow up so I can get out of here. But as I come out here, now I've lived in Samoa for 20 years and come out here, live here for 20 years, U.S. national, U.S. citizen, there's no, my opinion, there is no difference. What is, like, to me, okay, what's the big difference? But if I'm looking at everyone wants to change the citizenship and become U.S. citizens, there's just so much challenges that come with that. And I don't think there's a lot of advantages to that on our part. So thank you.
Thanks, Ron. I was right about to cut you off, but you're lucky you're my brother. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Arlington, and then we'll jump to Moliko.
Yeah, Brother Kalani, I acknowledge all the good points, and it's good to have that opposing perspective because that's the other argument that we're up against. Excuse me. I think that's the other voice that we hear. The frustration is from some of the military folks, and the military folks are also venting that we are defending this country. We're coming from American Samoa. We're sons of American Samoa. We're serving the U.S. military, but why can't we get that citizenship? It's like a trade-off. I'm serving this country. I'm carrying that flag with honors, but I'm treated like not a full citizen. So I understand that aspect, but then the points that you brought up, Kalani, history can easily repeat itself. And the dangers that we face is what we faced in the 1800s when Malietoa and Tamasese were, people were selling the land at record pace. 100,000 acres were just given to the Germans, without even, a cost. And you think about like the things that are going on in Samoa right now, there are windmills going up, and there are families that are disproportionately, the income is not shared down to the lower families. So you're going to fight that too. And that's the issue we face is we all understand the struggles that are in Samoa. If we open that up to free land selling, as desperate as the Samoan people are, that land will deplete, in less than 5 years, guarantee. And then who are you competing against? We've all seen Maui and places in Hawaii. Who owns those lands? It's the millionaires and billionaires. We don't have, anyone that are going to compete with those outsiders that are going to buy our land. And next thing you know, we're pushed off our land. We're on the beaches. So where I stand is there's a reason why our forefathers have put that implementation in there to protect our land and not allow these excessive selling. We're going to lose our culture. We're going to lose all the values, as mentioned above, the Matai system. So like Moleto, my great-grandfather also signed the deed of cession. So it's sort of an honor for us to defend what
stand
our
on it.
yeah. So, but respect your opinion, Kalani, because there's also an opposing argument that's from there. Yeah. Quick walk. Thank you, Lasso.
That was good.
Yeah.
Hey, that
Go ahead,
covered
Moliko.
that covered me. That covered everything I was going to repeat. But
Nice.
great topic.
It's good to hear this subject because I know where I stand, but I'm going to go ahead and say that, as far as the world and the life that we're actually living right now, the world of technology had brought a lot of understanding and a lot of, facts and everything. I guess hopefully some of it can be disturbing. But with the younger generations, I will speak for them, to where that they could, understand most of the stuff when it comes to this kind of issues as far as our precious lands and, just how that we can preserve it for the future of others that are not here yet. And to me, I think it's why I think it's a privilege to have that because of our forefathers that came up with it. But as far as with all the constitution rights and everything, and the federals might be coming in and everything, but I think that we would enjoy the blessing, and just like what Tassi was saying, as far as all the militaries that are actually serving, and not be able to have that freedom and also the right to be able to become, to be a citizen, to enjoy a lot of benefits that comes with it, and all the years that they've been serving, and they weren't treated just like a citizen due to the fact of their status as a national. So my thing is, I think that there's a lot of benefits, and I know that there's a lot of disadvantages, advantages, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will refer this to Hawaii of how they most of their lands and all that, the way they were selling it and everything. But with the technology and understandings that we as Samoans has explored so many universities and all the schools, that understanding that we, most of the stuff that we've learned, I'm pretty sure that not only that we can benefit from it, but at the same time, we will be careful and actually protect it because of our understanding has been explored throughout the world. So that's my take of it. So I like it. So that way we furthermore this discussion with some of our views, but I don't want to take more time of it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kalani. Is there
Salamat,
anybody
Kalani.
else that wants to add to it? Go ahead.
Oh
Arlington,
no,
I'm
I was
sorry.
just
Was there
saying. I was
something?
just saying
Go ahead.
thank you to Kalani for his input. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just read this comment that just was posted by Janet. When I lived in Hawaii years ago, I remember Hawaiian elders that I spoke with telling me how they're happy that Samoans preserve their land and culture and not go through what the Hawaiians deal with. She also goes to say the struggle is real with their land now. All right. So, is there anybody else that has anything else to say about this topic? Right, so let's move on to the next one. Thank you, everybody. That was a very good discussion, Kalani, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm sure there's other people who agree with you as well. But standing on strong, that's pretty good. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. Malu and Somaimiki, sacred or social media. Has our tatau, Malu and Somaimiki, turned from sacred right to trendy content? Should there be rules about who gets them, or is that gateway keeping? Gatekeeping. All right, go ahead. Who would like to start first?
I always go in Molitor because he's. Oh, okay,
Go
Ron
ahead,
raised his
Okay,
Ron.
hand. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ron. He
Ron,
raised his
go
hand.
ahead. Okay, okay, I'll go first. So
Okay.
we as Samoan, we got to keep the culture and the value of the Somaimiki and the Pea. Whoever that is listening, they know exactly when they see this thing happen, right? You only see the Malu when they're the Kaupo is doing the Kakao de Ava. You only see the Pea is in the Ava ceremony. They don't call for a Kakao de Lea. They call for the Soli Kamali'i, for Fali Upolu, e Kufa Ava. Those are the time that growing up back home, I see people with the Pea and the Malu. But this trend is going on. Hey man, do what you gotta do. But when it comes to the value of what you got on, it's not about likes and people like your video or what you're putting out there. Then the value of our custom is kind of lost. And this new generation is not taught down from the parents, and uncles and aunties that they go around them. And it's sad when I see it's more like a show off. It's a show. It's like, well, let my malu. Because we all know from growing up in Samoa, we see High Chief's family. You only see the kaupo of that family as the malu. And it was the blessing from the family, that pour on her to be the kaupo, even the better person, the makai. So I'm so against what they're doing, but it is what it is. Because if you go back home, they will tell you, sorry, elola efele umu, elo e fola le sua, elo e kuiluma le fale kangaka bala au fola le sua o me kupu. Those are, and then the malu person, the way they act in front of, they gave me felicia ngainga, ala kuru visitor. So Mel Manga was kind of lost now. There's us, the generation got go, we're almost 50 or something. We got to teach the young ones, like, Sunday, don't just do it for your dance group. Go call your muku before you call your pa, your kingo. So that's, I'm standing on, well, Killing is like a show thing now. And the other thing too is sacred because I have family that had a tattoo, and one almost was going through a lot because some of the family wasn't agree upon the stuff until like a week, and then when everybody agreed, and then that's when the job was easy, and the soil was sitting there too, not feeling the pain. But that's my forte on the Solamiki and the Malu. If it's sacred still or value still, yes, it is, but it's the people that wearing it. They need a God honest truth.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Monica.
man, have a
I think
lava,
I
but
had,
follow.
thank you, Monica. I know, Kalani, you had taken off your mute first before everybody else, so I'll go ahead and let you take your turn.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, Ted, to say the truth is that growing up, I never seen a lot of pitas or a lot of malus. I never seen a lot of them. But at the time, I guess the only time that I see it when there's a Samoa going on in the village, as far as somebody that is actually getting the new Matai name or anything like that. And one time that I was watching the flag day in American Samoa, and at the time, Indy Falimabaenga was actually our representative from back home. It was really, really, it's a very surprising time that I actually see somebody that I would never expect to have this tatau. And when Indy started taking off his shirt and then actually, pulling up his Iafaikama, it was like something that I was so proud of, as far as, wow, I never expect our representative, so pride, and to be able to show that, to showcase the bill. And then come to my mind is that no wonder why a lot of our ancestors and a lot of people that were actually talking about it. Omea yo mea singa Samoa. When they say mea singa, it's a secret, I think, yeah. So a lot of people that I realized that they have to, I realized they never show it. As far as the la'e or the clothes that they wear, they never, wear anything above their knees or anything, because they don't want this to be shown. I guess because of the Messina, that it should be sacred. And it only comes out when traditions and ceremonies that it's actually performed in our villages. So right now I see a lot. I see a lot of them. And it's hard for me to be very judgmental, but the thing of it is that I don't think it's not a secret anymore. Now it's been exposed. We have technology that it's actually showcasing a lot of them that are actually showing it. And some of them are actually wearing their clothes above to where that you can, So yeah, I think that it's too much, I guess. And I think that it's going to become a thing that it's a lot of people are going to be looking at it as just a normal thing. It's not a messina, or it's not a sacred anymore. And that's the sad part of it, because now our culture's been exposed to where that, oh, that's a cool tattoo. I think that's a Samoan girl. That's a Samoan boy. So I think that's my take on it. That I think that it's starting to become more popular to where that people are just showing it and not really understand the fully meaning of it. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Talani. Thank you, Malito. So both of you are on the same page with your beliefs on the tattoo. Before we jump into either Nyla or Ron, because I know Arlington wants to wait till everybody gets their thoughts out before he starts to put his input in. Let me read a comment from one of our viewers. Yes, I totally agree. I believe it is something sacred meant for specific ones that represent the roles and model the meaning behind it. And she goes on to say, we should keep it sacred. All right. So, all right, who's next? Ron, Nyla?
I'll go. Um, how should we keep it sacred? Ole mamalu nga yaile ya malu ma te a yasona sa fa tu lao wale ko ya se mamalu o ya but for our generation to keep on moving forward, how do we do it? How do we do it? How do we make sure that we keep it sacred? It's aliangat kako ng mamo is kako culture. Who is there to blame? No one but us. Because we're not giving that correct teaching to people and our families of who's supposed to be getting it and what are you supposed to be doing. Ito sila mo malu mali ako. Yung missing asamoa with the malu and the bear. So I agree with that we should keep it. We should keep it sacred for, and then the only way that we can be able to do that is to be able to tell the story of how it's supposed to go forth and who is supposed to be doing it and getting it. That's how I feel.
Thank you, Nyla. Go ahead, Ron.
I mean, I agree that I agree that this is our tradition that it should be sacred. Growing up, I always thought that the Malu and Songhai Miti it always embodied, family, service, and honor. And not everyone can wear that gown if you haven't proven that and you haven't been blessed by specific family members to actually bestow this, right? So, and I think, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think the misuse kind of undermines the cultural weight behind the Malu and Songhai Miti. It seems like a lot of social media trends often remove the context of what it is to have a Songhai Miti and a Malu. Um, so a lot of times people kind of mistaken it as, oh yeah, I can get it, it's my body. I'm Samoan, I can do whatever I want. But then they start to think that it's about gatekeeping. But I think it's more about guardianship. It's trying to protect the values and the sacredness of our tradition. The more we try to allow anyone and everyone to have it without understanding what it comes from, what the connection of the Songhai Miti and Malu has to our culture, what the connection it has to our ancestors, and what the connection it has to us moving forward, the more you understand what it means to have it and what you have to do. It's not just wearing it and running around anywhere in the world showing it off. I mean, growing up, I didn't really see a lot of people show it until it came to something traditional, whether it's a Father Beloved or the Tawalunga dancing, and that was the most prideful I felt. I always felt like every time I see these things happening during our culture, and for people to show that, I had a big sense of pride in our culture just to see that, and I understood that. All right, those people know a lot more about Samoan stuff than I do, so I'm gonna sit back, right? So that I was always thinking to myself, and I was seeing in the culture that these are the people that are always running around doing the stuff, cutting the sewer and all these things. But it seems like we haven't really preserved that enough at this point. And just like Nyla said, how do we how do we educate our next generation moving forward? It's up to us. It's up to us to allow that education and to teach our next generation, to let them understand, the sacredness of the Tatao and the Malu. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Ron. All right, Arlington, you're next.
All great input, and I agree with a lot of what was said. But I want to expand the discussion and looking deeper into, like we said, where we are defining sacredness in modern terms and our assumption of what the culture truly was. But we have to call the Tufunga families, right? Because those are the guys that are giving the tattoos out. So we can't really blame, it's not solely blamed on the individuals that are getting the tattoos. Do we feel that the Tufunga Tatsaus are also responsible? But because they are the keepers of the tattoo and the art and who should and who should not, they have the understanding of what is right and what is wrong. So we may disagree on who they're tattooing, but I just want to let's walk back into recent history in the 1800s, right? We said this is sacred or Mesina Samoa, but then you question, I say ala nga sa wikwi konga malaukawa konga kai Samoa, if it ahapea mea Samoa, right? So we said only Samoans should be tattooed, but why is the king of Tonga getting tattooed? So it changes the philosophy on the sacredness. If it's unique to us, why are we sharing it? And then the next part I get into is we know the origin of the story. Whether you say it's from Fitiuta or from Fiji itself, the tattoo we all know is not ours, right? Samoa. I mean, some are going to say, yeah, it is from Fitiuta, but let's just play the theory that it is from Fiji, right? We know the story is it was a gift to the girls to go take it to wherever you're coming from. And they went to share it with one village. And guess what? That first village, the argument is that first village didn't receive it well. Second village probably didn't receive it well. And then just kept going. Eventually found a family to share the art with. So I'm circling in that aspect. The art was meant to be shared. So if Fiji was sharing that art with us and it's not our art, why are we not sharing that art with others? Because that's what it was told to the girls. Here is a blessing bestowed upon you guys. Share this beautiful gift, to adorn your bodies with. So it wasn't something that was meant to be hidden. It was meant to be shared. And then I also visit, the early 1800s, additional to the Tuitonga, the beachcombers. Because remember, all those people that fled, Australia, they were fleeing and they were parked over there in Samoa. The beachcombers, they all had bitters. So if those palangis, the early palangis got bitters, and it was the kufunga kakao, they accepted them as Samoans. So how can we be so critical to the modern people if the tufungas of the past were also? So I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just want to expand the understanding of what we define as sacred if those people were given a pass. Yeah, marfalo.
Well,
Before I turn it to any one of you guys, let me just read a comment that we have out here. Let's see. Janet, yes, the keepers need to do their part. Herman says it's all about the money. And we have a long one from Julie. Julie says, I heard that the tatau is very sacred, that the malu and the pe'a were originally meant only for the taupo and the sons of the high chief. These markings were traditionally reserved for those with specific roles and responsibilities. Nowadays, I see a lot of women and men getting them just to show off without understanding the deep cultural meaning behind them. And then last one, we have minority says, good point. All right, who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Let me let me follow up what Tashi was saying about the who's gonna get blamed. The Tufunga, to me, not the Tufunga. It's the Mataya, the family that agreed to put this little boy in the tattoo, right? So that the Makai now is, making all the calls because he's getting paid. He's getting the cut from this. So the Tufunga is just gonna show up because of the money. But yes, it was the Mataya, the family, that put a blessing on this boy or this lady, this woman, to get the tattoo. And the other thing that mentioned that the Tongans, why did the Tongans were getting tatted? If we go back in the history where Tongans became Samoa, it's because of the daughter of the Baliator. that married to the Tuitonga back in the history and had baby that came over and became the first Tongan Maliator and get the pit. So our pit is sacred and it goes straight to the king's sons, or the kings. And now they're trying to say, and that's why I see now they have the Tongan now, they're trying to bring back the pit. And to follow up too, what Tassi said, the pit should be universal. But if you look at the art of the pit, it's all the Falikari Malo that they do all the meetings, from from the inside of the leg, the back. It all represents Samoan people. So for people that, if they think I'm wrong, yeah, but this is what I know, from the thing that's on your body is the house and how we live in Samoa. So the saying that the pita is universal now, that any Tongan can get it, that's not right. If we look at the facts of it, it's the Tongan King Tonga married the daughter of the Magiakor back in the 1700s. So you can fact check me. I can be wrong, but in reality, that's how the history was. It's all from the Tui Manua that got damaged. They move on. So now we only have two, the Tui Tonga and Tui Manua, And that's my saying about this that if everybody says it's universal and I want to sit down with that person, then show me what's on your leg then. For Samoa. Show me what's on your rib. So that's what I'm standing on. The pea is Samoan thing only. There's everybody else they can get it, but it became a controversial for the Manu. The Tongan girl get the Manu. There was never in the history of our culture a Tongan girl get a Manu. But then they always want to bring out this new technology and bring up, but we all know history, It all came from Tui Manua and it trickled all the way there. The Kaisama Sama, So but that's what I'm saying about that, Follow up what Tashi was saying. Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Moliko. Before we jump into the next one, let me just read these comments. They're coming in. So let me start with Vai, who's supposed to be on our panel, but she was having some trouble. So let me read Vai's. Wafa'atau tofa atufanga. That's the problem nowadays. Money plays a big part of why it's out of control. All right. The next comment is from Langi Lele. I don't think there's much we can do but to uphold the stories of it because culture is fluid. It will always evolve like Tatao. It's become a revenue so much that people have resorted to T-guns. Lele, can you tell me what you mean by T-guns? Or if you guys know what that means, please let us know. Minority, another good point, Junior. All right, Lele, afai e tu mau ta laanga o Messina ne I ina e mawa ai le mamalu. Se en, sorry, so stupid with this. Fasuka se ipo ki se fa'au. Victor, can you read that for me, please?
Sorry, man.
Se le fasuka, se ipuki, se fa'ua. So,
Skippy Sunday school, man.
Good point.
You skipped
Langi
news
Lei.
class, huh?
Thank you for your comment.
Well,
Very well
I
taken.
failed Samoan class.
You
And I
skipped
even
news
failed
class.
it.
I knew it.
Yeah, that's why mom and dad beat me up. Just kidding. Female 5061, preach Uso. All right, minority, tattoo gun.
Oh, tattoo gun. That's what that
Yeah,
was.
and then Lungi Lele also says tattoo gun. All right, there was somebody else that wanted to jump on and go next, so go ahead.
I thought we were going to change the subject,
I think was it. Did you guys want to add to it or no? Are we good?
Yeah, I got a couple things. No, Molotow's got a good point. I'm not arguing that the tattoo is not Samoan. What I was saying is, explore. Let's question. We know it's Samoan, but I think the art was, the reason why the Tufunga tattoos were tattooing, the white men and those beachcombers at the time was, to these are people that wanted to embrace our culture. So yeah, you're authorized to share my culture to the world. Here, let me adorn your body, and yeah, go and preach the Fasamo. You know, this is a story. This is our story. That I'm giving to you, and you're my canvas. So I think that's kind of what we're also doing today. There was a point where I think in Fofo's book in the 80s and 90s there was concerns that the Tufungas were like I think there was only 30 left in Samoa, so we were concerned in Samoa that the art was going to go into decline. But now we've seen the opposite. We see an explosion, which is a good thing, right? And Fofo also mentions that he explored the possibility that he was okay with Samoans going get it stateside even if they had it done with the tattoo machine, just to preserve the culture. And he was encouraging people because this was a time of the decline in Tufungas. He was saying, "I'm okay with Samoans who know what the art should look like and guide the guy with the tattoo machine." So I know today we look at it and it's like that's crazy, but that was a way of Fofo saying we need to preserve it somewhat. If we don't have anyone that can do it traditionally, let's explore doing it by machine. So I know that was just kind of what I wanted to share. And then one last point was, I know we're saying you have to understand your full culture before you get tattooed, but the age of people getting tattoos back in the day was 14. 14, we all know you're not fully immersed in the culture, so you're still learning. So it doesn't excuse those who are, at an adult age now, but I don't think it was really meant to have a full understanding of the Samoan culture before getting tattooed. But Morotoa has a good point of blame the chiefs for allowing that family member to go get tattoos. And I think that's the other issue we have today. I don't think these people getting tattoos, I don't think they're getting a blessing of their families or their sao. I think they're just saying, I got the money, I'm going to go get tattooed. But I think that's
Paid
also right. So I think that's the other thing. I don't think they're getting vetted through the families. They're just going straight to the artists
right.
and pay him. Yeah. So that's all I have.
Okay, so I have one comment that's on here, then we'll move on to the next. Your research with us. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. And this is marijuana, holy herb or gateway drug. Why do some Polynesians pray for healing on Sunday and light up weed on Monday? Is marijuana medicine, rebellion, or a coping mechanism we don't want to talk about? If someone legalizes marijuana tomorrow, would we be ready? All right, I leave it to the floor. Go ahead.
Hell yeah,
Hey,
we'll be ready.
they should be ready. We'll be having more people alive right now if they're on the weed. Okay, on seriousness, right? Me growing up back home, they're against it, and they rather choose the alcohol. So me, I was like, I smoke here and there growing up. Since I came up to the state, there's more ways they benefit the marijuana. If the CBD is from the marijuana hemp plant, that's all under Mary Jane, and it helps me with anxiety, depression. My blood was I was on some medication with this marijuana thing, and I challenged my doctor. This is the honest truth. I challenged my doctor, I'm going to start smoking this thing. I quit drinking 5 years ago and jump on the Mary Jane, and then I've been doing blood work, and they cannot believe it. So I advocate for the Mary Jane because there's a lot of useful ways that people put into oil, and they put it on their knees. And I dilute it into olive oil, so I use it for cooking for myself. This is my opinion. Because everybody, they say they get delusionate or like Well, if you drink a bottle of beer the first time, you're gonna be that way too. You know, you got to build up your tolerance. And the other way that I'm advocate for marijuana, people say it's a drug, right? I question the pastor I was going to church here called Victory. I say you always preach about marijuana, but I never hear you preach about the Tylenol and the Motrin syrup that we give our kids. Isn't that cause more damage to them than me giving myself Mary Jane? I mean, there's certain age that you can do this, but the straight up say marijuana is evil. I have never heard anybody die from marijuana. That's the honest truth. But I heard a lot of people die from DUI, from overdose on alcohol. So it's the big pharmaceutical move, just keep pushing down the marijuana because they know there's a lot of benefits from marijuana. Even Chinese people been using marijuana in the 1700s. I know there's people that hear this, they're probably against it, but until they look at somebody doing it, and they can be like, wow, it works on you then. But the notion that people say it's a drug is don't make no sense. Because here we are giving our kids Motrin and Tylenol when they get the cold. So it'll be a good argument, see what is a drug, compound drug, and what is a plant that we use as a cure. And that's my forte on marijuana is God's plant. Compound stuff you buy over the counter, that's evil plant. That's evil. It's pushing that on everybody. So that you get sick and you have another thing to take so you can continue to get sick. But Mary Jane, you hit that, you go to sleep, you wake up, feel good as always and fresh. And you have to me, it opened up my mind on everything that I've learned from back in the day that was lost. It all came back to me. That's what the change and the transformation I'm in. 5 years sober, 5 year no meat, just strictly sugar, soda, carbohydrates, chunk, and then Mary Jane. And then that's the benefit me. That's why I was, and that's what I said on marijuana.
Thank
The
you,
other stuff,
Monica. We know you love Mary Jane. All right.
help me out. It
All
make
right,
me
we're gonna,
happy.
we're gonna read some comments before we move on to the next person. All right, so minority. Before we move on, let me read minority. I believe the Samoan tattoo originated from Malaysia, Philippines. They have many of the same patterns, just my opinion. All right, so that was from the tattoo part. Now, he also goes on to say, or she says, I grew marijuana. LOL. I just got done gardening. Marijuana, minority, it's a good thing I don't know your full name and what state you're from. So, and it also says cannabis interacts with the body endocannabinoid. Did you just put that long name just to make it difficult for me to read? Bad enough I can't read Samoan.
Cannabinoids.
All right, so Janet, she's got a comment. I agree. If it's used for medicine, use but indulgence and excessiveness is not right. All right, so minority, and then Herman, it opens your mind and soul. That's for you, Moliko.
Hey man.
All right,
Make me
so
think
Kalani, I think
positive.
you have something to say. Go ahead.
No, I just want to thank Toa for his, uh, it takes a lot for somebody to open up with these kind of subjects because it's sometimes the way of people view when somebody mentioned that kind of stuff. So I give you props, Toa. Thank you very much for your I think that when it comes to marijuana, I know there's a lot of things out there that are a lot of people are extracting. A lot of people that knows about the plant that are actually extracting from this plant. It doesn't matter if it's a CBD oil, if it's something whatever, it's all from this one plant. My question is, why is it all of a sudden that our government legalized it to some of the states? Now, my thing is that I think that money is evil of all things. And I know that a lot of people think that, why now? So As far as marijuana is that, I don't think that there's any bad thing about it because people are not even adding any chemical to it. It's just straight from the plant and they use it for medicinal reason. And that's why when Toil was saying that, it helps them out. And I think that the question that was said on our panel is, are we Samoa ready when we legalize this back home? Well, we have the resources, we have everything, the climate from the soil all the way up. And guess how much money that we would be benefiting from it as well. But now a lot of people are saying that it's bad for your health and all that. Well, I think that it's if it wasn't for anything that we have to go through as far as drug tests or our jobs and everything, we would have been joining Mary Jane with my brother Tor. And then what he was saying about all these medicines like over the counter and everything, yeah, these are very, very bad for your kidneys and all that kind of stuff and everything. But yet the pharmaceutical company pushes it because it does help you. It does not cure it, but from my understanding from people that actually use marijuana is it does benefit them in the long run. And that's the thing, that there's an argument out there that a lot of people that are saying that, man, this is a herb and there's a reason why they say it is a herb. And a lot of people use herb for, headaches, migraines, stuff like that. And my take on it is that I think that we should go ahead and legalize it in Samoa. Why not? We have the resources and everything. And I think we are ready for it as well. If the states up here are using some of the stuff that they have planted underneath their basement because they don't have the weather, well, we have everything in Samoa. And I think that it's a good thing, But one thing that I can say is that when it comes to any medical medicine or anything, the word abuse is something that's why the government regulated. It's because that when people abuse it the way they're using, these substances can overtake your whole body. And that's why it becomes illegal, because of the way people use it. But, a lot of people are using it because they can't afford to buy medicine or don't have insurance or anything. It does help them out. So there's a lot of good advantages when it comes to this herb. And that's my take upon it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalani. All right, I know there's somebody else that wanted to go. Go ahead, Nyla.
So as a healthcare worker, there's a lot of benefits with marijuana. And I work in the ICU as a monitor tech, and I've seen a lot of patients coming in with open heart surgeries. And after a couple of days of trying to recover from the surgery, they don't eat. They don't have no appetite at all. So what do? We give them the marijuana so that if I also able to iron might, because the body at that moment and at that time after an open heart surgery, you need all the nutrients you can get in order for you to move along and go with the crackers, and in order for you to move along. Another thing is with the marijuana alone, just like Molitor said, it helps with your mental health. So do you prefer to get Percocet or Vicodin, or do you prefer to take marijuana where as long as you're controlling it, versus a Percocet, Vicodin, and all these other Norcans and all these drugs? It has so much effect on you and your body. You can be driving down the road, take a Percocet right now, drive down the road, and boom, bam, get into a car accident, versus the marijuana. Another thing with cancer patients and with any kind of patient that's going through pain and all of that, this helps. The marijuana helps relieve the pain. So if I'm more ready for it, I'm all for it. And I agree with Kalani. It's going to bring in the economy wise. It's going to be very blooming for American Samoa. But we have to regulate the rules and how it's supposed to come out to people to use it, and how they're supposed to use it accordingly with doctor's orders and whatnot. But I'm all for it. Outside.
Thank you, Nyla. Again, I know Arlington likes to wait for everybody to go through, so go ahead, Ron.
No, like everyone said, I think it's going to be a good economic benefit for back home, and not only economic but health wise. And I think to me, I think one of the biggest benefits would be, you know, back in the day when we used to go places and we go either to the government building or to a business or to a store, and you got grumpy ass people, right? Like, peso vaca, alis ko peso vaca. Like, "Hola, menga que pura meca," you know, stuff like that. And you'd be like, "Here, give this." All they do is, and then you look at them again, they'd be like, "Oi, malo, lava soy sua, wamai, oi." Man, you just tell them legalize this thing, and our customer service will be 100% great. We will be the most liked people in the world. I have never heard anyone who has overdone marijuana and they're all worked up and they're mad. I mean, you got somebody who overdoes it on alcohol, they go crazy. They go crazy, right? You got someone who overdoes it on marijuana. You look at them, and they are the happiest person in the world.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
and even though they don't know you, they're gonna say, "I love you. I'm your best friend. You want all my
Yeah.
money?" Stuff like that.
Give you a
So
hug.
I'm all for it. That's all I got.
Yes, sir.
I don't really
Man.
have a fight in this one. I'm all about it being natural. To me, I think it's something that it grows on the land. The only thing, it's not much of a conspiracy theory. I think, there was an argument. Why was marijuana demonized from the beginning? And I think it had to do with the, um, what you call it, the cigarettes, right? It was the cigarette industry that ran the study, ran these commercials, and then got the politicians to push, marijuana as, to demonize it so bad, to increase the sales and keep the, cigarette market flowing. And ever since, it just seems like all these studies. The question is, all these studies that we see today, is there any legitimacy, or are they paid by the cigarette industry to keep their industry flowing? So I support the marijuana. I think it's something natural. Growing up in Samoa, I know a lot of folks who grew marijuana and smoked it, and like Brother Ron said, "Well, they happy lava me go." So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you guys. We're gonna move on to the next one. We had so many comments coming in, but I don't have time to read all through them. And so I know that we're not gonna get through all the topics. If we did, we'd probably get past 2 hours. And so this is gonna be our last topic for tonight, you guys. And so whatever is leftovers, we'll continue it for the next time we have our next panel in 2 weeks or so. All right, so our last one, I decided to talk about Whaiwheʻao money. Paying for prayers. Why are our Whaiwheʻaos driving SUVs while church families are drowning in debts? At what point does giving become manipulations? All right, the floor is yours.
Those guys need to freaking go to church to learn something. No, okay. On a serious note, according to the question, to me, I seen this thing happen when I came up here in Alaska, back in '96. And when I saw the community church was doing it, pay the rent, pay the car payment, pay everything for the five out, I questioned my family. Like, isn't the meaning of five out you go kala irkala lele, not sitting there and let your community suffer, right? And there's like, well, five million, five out, la kua ya kan kaya kalo mo oi. To me, it's a money-driven thing now for this new DNA growing up, and then I've seen this the trend of majority of the kids that are younger than me and younger than us, they became fight fit out in good shape, and now they look at them, they're in bad shape. So like the question, so they're eating, we're paying for them to pray for us. Little we know we can pray for ourselves because and, and then when they do all that, and then the fight fit out go to the Father lobby, and almost 20 of them or whatever, they get envelopes. Like, what is the meaning of the fight fit out? Me looking at the word fight fit out, meaning you gotta go kala, get up, kala, kala delay, not go and beg your family or the community to give you coupe so you can live life, and then the rest of the community are suffering. And then you're gonna cover up to go build a big church. Why you want to build big church? Why can't we build those people that live in the Faleo or that you be bugging money from it? You know, that's the reality of the thing. About Fefe out. They don't love the people. They're just doing it for the money to send over here and, wherever the main people at, up in the States or somewhere. But back in the day, Fefe out, we got to go and gotta lay. Now it's like they need a car or a freaking walker. Man, I'll trip those fools if I see them. Hey, listen, man. You need a car. You gotta lay, not sitting there and waiting for my paycheck or a check to come from me. On the honest truth, transparency, And if they all have Jesus in their heart, we have a conversation about what you're doing, Pastor. Stop doing this thing and then trying to brush it under the table because you're faithful out. I have a lot of respect with people that do things, but when people that taking it just for the money, they get sick and they die, man. I seen it. These young faithful out, either they have a big old moo or big old leg. Man, you're not serving the Lord, man. You're serving something else. You're serving for the food and the money. You usually get freaking retired, and you're not helping the community. And there's honest truth from what I've seen. I have family, man. We all have family that became faithful out. Some of them, I swear to God, they don't want to look at me. But I don't care. It's my opinion of what I've seen and what I've known. If the other side is having an issue about what my opinion is, then you have a problem, about the face it out. There's only me growing up. We all get to look at how come when somebody said the susunga face it out, but then all of a sudden they reverted to another asionga face it out. Look, man, you're twisting the culture, Or the susunga face it out. Susunga ki a Congo. It's like, well, the face out now is younger than me, and he think that he's God than me. Like, you're not God more than me, homie. I've seen a lot of things in his life. You're only 35? Come on, man. You need to go read more in the Bible and follow the Bible. Love the people. Spread the word of love and peace and truth. Stop driving the SUV and go get a job. That's my saying. I'm sorry it might offend some people, but I have Jesus in my heart. I'm speaking from what I'm seeing back home. And up here in the United States, the worst. The face out here, they gotta sit back and their mortgage or the rent is $3,500. Car payment. All these things they need to stop, and it all comes from the matai of the family. The leader gotta put a stop on all this. And then if they don't agree, well, we'll go have our own church by the ocean. We go, pray over there. Because it seems like if you don't put into churches, they label you. So the devil, man, like the devil's chilling on my truck. I'm good, just fine. And you struggle trying to give him $20 and you live in the Faleo. Grow up, That's my saying. Sorry I'm taking up all the time.
Okay, Moliko, thank you. All right, who's next? Appreciate it, Moliko.
But
I guess I'll speak from I never had any experience with this, I guess because a lot of people have different denominations where they grew up from. I can only say that I have a lot of friends that actually have said some few things and actually vent about it. They say, "Solely, man." Up here in the States, they would say, "Solely, man. Well, they're not pay. I'm gonna get my pay, but my mom and my dad gotta say, yeah, right there, look fine. We gotta put this in an envelope when we go to Sunday." But up here in the States, we all know. I mean, we have bills to pay, and I guess the belief that we were raised, God first, and we'll put everything in our spiritual life, and everything will fall in place. Well, we put all the money in an envelope. The only thing that falls on you is that the rent, because you'll be living outside in the bridge with no rent or no house. But it's like I said, I never experienced it, but just some of my friends that actually talk about the stuff like that. And back to our subject, why other five hours are driving these SUVs and everything. And like what Brother Toll was saying, is it fair? Is it fair for people that go work and actually pay to give these money for the 5 hours of pure, but yet they're not really they don't have to go to work because they know that every Sunday there's always going to be money coming in. Based on my experience of my friends, this is what they say. So I think that up here in the States that we should at least think about that. Hey, I guess if you become a FFL, please at least have some qualifications. You got to be at least, there's got to be some, stabilized jobs, stuff like that you'll be able to, you don't have to depend to the congregation and all that kind of stuff. That way that if somebody put in $1 or $2, at least it's something that, to show appreciation that, hey, when I get my check the next time and I know that I don't have any bills, all right, I'm gonna put $50 and stuff like that. But it seems like it's one of my friends would say that it's like a competition between families. And they say that if a family, this family put 100, the other family kind of like realize, oh, this family's putting 100. But not knowing that that's a struggle. Now, I'm saying it based on how I understand my friends venting when they were talking about. But I think that the fairness is not fair at all. I think that everybody should be able to at least contribute how they can afford, knowing that some of these FFLs. Now, I understand in Samoa, if FFL is over there, it doesn't really matter what FFL is growing up as a kid. I remember my grandpa when we do the umu, whoever the FFLs that are in the village of Tula, the assembly, the kaiki, the mamoa, it seems like every family will have a little small umu prepared, to give it to them. Everybody contribute, everybody love each other. But I guess that coming up here in the States and everything is that it's a shame to say it based on the experience that I've seen and I've heard is that now a lot of people are trying to gain that title as a Faife'au to come up here in the States to make a living off of it. And I think that it's not a good thing. So that's my take on it. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Kalani.
Thank you.
All right, who would like to go next? Go ahead, Nyla.
I get sensitive when it comes to this issue, just because okay, if I not if I for say out, but here is how I feel about it. Should they get paid? No. Ah, pa ole ava whakawhaka ma le tradition ma le culture wo ma le tātou mai Samoa. Te ole o i ngā whongo e whare sia depending i au loku na te roku ai mai ka po i ngō ola mai ai. It's the reason why. So ke ki e nā le whewhi au i le SUV ai oilo ai ngā. That's because of you. La follow low la fonga la follow lo fa ile mea o I lo mafais, knowingly that your family is going to be okay for the next 3 weeks on until your next paycheck. Ile si sila le ile mea e ke la for just because of what? It's le ile mea lo loko ma ave male malo loko ako, meaning I'm gonna put in 100 today for the alofa, but I already know in my heart that my family's gonna struggle next week until my next paycheck. So here you are giving it, but you're not giving it wholeheartedly. Knowingly or you're gonna go through all that struggle. Ola nga, I guess you get paid. No. But because e kofu ale loku malanga mangai unga fongo ma ilo ilonga olo yai. This is why we do this. But here in the mainland, Samoa is okay. Here in the mainland, it's a struggle for every family to live. Trying to get by day, going to work in the morning, oisi whainga wenga walunga po, midnight, oisi ala usu kai au. Some people, some folks, they work inside, some they work outside. E munga alama ki munga. So if I'll go and do the work, it will like look for try to help out as much as we could to pay a bill because only look at it. Yeah, you no longer look at it for me or look for look if I say out. O e o mau mai no ese. Yeah, only the longer look at it post na ko out. No matter what. O sina nga so ako ay tao. Thank you.
Thank you, Nyla. All right, go ahead, Ron.
I think starting today, I will begin my journey to become a whaifeau, and that is
Yeah.
that
What
is
is that?
only based on a couple of things. You get paid every Sunday. You don't pay no taxes. You're gonna get a new vehicle every 6 months, and the louder you yell, the more money you're probably gonna make on a Sunday, and you get a different amount of a paycheck every Sunday. That's like the most best business idea ever. So I am basing my FFL journey on those details at this point. If anyone gets offended, I apologize, but I don't care. This is just an opinion, and that's what I feel. But honestly, on all honesty, it's just based on what I seen and growing up, right? And a lot of like some of it, the panel said that we grew up on different denominations, and just seeing and hearing and being around people who are talking about what's going on. I mean, um, I can only say that just like what Nyla said, if you're giving, you're giving, and you don't have nothing else, it's, that falls on you. That's at the end of the day, you're making that decision for you and your family. What's the best thing? But then again, sometimes we are we are programmed to give and give and give as much as we can to a certain point and to a certain extent, and then does it become giving wholeheartedly or giving in competition? um so that's just another fact that we got to look at. But but as I go back to my journey, that's what I want to be, and that's what I want to do from here on out. Thank you very much.
Just to let everybody know, my brother hasn't been to church for 10 years.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's why I said my journey starts today.
It's the best thing
Usa,
ever.
Pastor Ronnie, olelo cash app from mood.
Onlyfans.com.
Usa neka ko podcast kako sa ngi roi ave kamane o kana na fofo ma dua.
May papakito ay kamare mo ng papel.
Yeah.
Hey, $200 of baptism.
Let's see.
Find me a
Elsa, did you want to
Barbie
go
girl.
through some of these comments before we jump on? Let's see.
Right, so let me go through the comments. Let's see. Great. I think I read this. Thank you, Toa, for sharing openly about your story and experience. That's very helpful. Oh, I think I read that one. Okay. Not all pastors operate or believe that way. There are some pastors that truly believe God and serve people faithfully. As Sarah says, Jesus loved the little children. Jesus loves the little children, children of the world. You
But my
tricked me with the
pocket is
word, though.
empty.
Janet says there are many pastors I know that work and serve in the ministry in Samoa and in the States. Sorry, that was just a storm that just hit us, lightning. All right. Minority says Jesus never collected taxes.
Hey, that is so right.
Mhm. It's true that it's based on your opinion. So I think Janet was referring to when Nyla was speaking, and also your personal experience. And then as Sarah, she mentioned, I believe, Arlington's brother, Chief Tasi, your brother, Tilmanu. And then Herman says, Samoa is not okay, that envelope. Janet
Yeah.
says, thank you, Nyla. And she also says, yes, know and understand why you're giving. All right, late two. The culture is heavy instilled in church, which is part of the problem. This should be separated. Arlington, you want to read that for me,
Yeah.
please?
E tolua mea taua I leo langa tangata Samoa. O le ainga o le nuu ma le kalesia. O le tawhatolu le nā o Mataya Samoa. Okay, so very well taken. And I think this is sort of trying to explain the relationship between the villages and the people and the churches. So My take is, I think the question sort of applies to Samoa. It may also apply to the stateside, but we also have to remember not all villages are the same. There's some smaller villages that won't have, the income to support that whaiwheau. And we also have to understand that when these whaiwheaus go to, Kananafo or wherever they're getting educated from, they might not have a strong, like a civilian background or some type of education to help them sustain themselves. But back in Samoa, we understand that so long as they are deep in the Bible, and that's sufficient to them, and the villagers will continue to donate to the church so long as they're getting that spiritual feeling from the church. And so I kind of agree with what everyone is saying here. My take is wherever church you go to, if you feel spiritually fed and you feel that you feel closer to God based on what that pastor is preaching, I think at some point you're going to feel like I should give, right? I'm going to give more to this church and the church's growth. And some people do believe that these are divine entities that were given to us that dedicate their lives more in the Bible than we do. So I'm just kind of offering a different perspective of why we as Samoans do this. But you guys know where I stand. Yeah, you guys know where I stand with if you overdo it, if you do it excessively beyond your own means to support your own family, and you're donating all that income, and yet you're struggling, and then that becomes an issue. So, but I agree with a lot of the points that were mentioned in here. But I just wanted to broaden the perspective. Not all of the whaiwheaus have that capability to sustain themselves, and that's why the churches come in and supplement that.
Amen.
And don't forget to Cash App Ron. I'm going to start his path to becoming a pastor.
Go ahead, Kalani. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to ask Ron what would be our new church or new denomination, so we can go ahead and put it on a platform and then go ahead and cash out. But
come to Daddy's church.
That sounds like a OnlyFans thing too, but it's okay.
Is that farmersgirls.com?
Singles.com.
Yeah, no, based on our everybody's views and everybody's the way they were talking about it, like I'm from a different denomination, but I think that we were brought up as and actually for the service of fight out. I think that now it's just that I hope that I'm not offending anybody, but advantage has been taken. I think what we felt, if I was in the envelope, it's like, oh, well, it's coming good. It's coming good. But I'm pretty sure that, for I would prefer as Jesus Christ as a shepherd than it should fight for it, so that way they can see the congregation to where that, he should be the one that actually leading the congregation and say, look, you don't have to pay too much and everything. And I understand that you guys have bills and stuff like that. This is my own opinion, Oh, keep it coming, my man. So, but other than that, God forbid, I just want to say that it's always a pleasure. Not this time, my first time. This is a good podcast and everything, and hopefully our viewers will not take it personal and everything. And we're here to share as far as all our opinions. So, other than that, I know this is our last subject. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Maliko,
Well,
go ahead, Maliko? I think you were trying to say something. Go ahead.
yeah. To me, like Tashi was saying, was it the Kua, right? Matai, and then Ekalesia. So, afapalangira menga, it confused Samoa, because now God, chief, and religion. So we're confused, From the other side, like, wait a minute. Afa Samoa, the Kua, then the Momoa Samoa, then Matai, and then Ekalesia. So that's the confusion, that I'm looking at from that side. Like, wait a minute. I get confused. It's God first, then Matai, and then religion. And is a religion has God involved in it? So that's why the old school for Ifeau, they know what they did. But the newer one, that like everybody was trying, man, you got to serve the Lord. Don't serve for the money and all that stuff. Like the panel was mentioned. So, well, overall, Kako panel, thank you for inviting me to be on here. Hopefully, everybody's listening and on the panel have Jesus in their heart, because like I am, because I speak honestly and truth what happened and what I know and what I see. I don't just make up stuff. It will create a lot of confusion, for the young generation. And Maleava, I'm gonna follow. But can't wait to go home one of these days and do what I gotta do back in the island.
Thank you. Thank you. Ron, did you want to go, or Nyla, before we close? Go ahead.
Oh, we're saying our goodbyes, sir. Thank you so much, Pulse of Polynesia, for the opportunity to be here tonight and share our experiences with you all. Afaya ele o whaamalia inane sila man whaalongolongo le au mai mua man au whakapoa ia whaamalia. Pocho atau taya se whulu mātu iama. Ia o lunga i nei, ia ole lafolafonga. O manatu fo'i na meo ia ai le whaiai. Yeah. But blessed the rest of the week for you all. So much love from over here in Monterey, California to you all, and thank you for tuning in with us.
Thank you,
Outside.
Maro.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for the invite. It was such a great session to be here and just see a little transparency on a couple of subjects with all the panels. Whatever I say on here, is solely based on my opinion. And it's not to persuade anyone else's opinion to take whatever I say to heart. If I offended anyone, please forgive me. But it's all in the name of humor and transparency and to continually move forward in a good space. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Maro.
Arlington, did you want to say something?
Yeah. No, thank you for our panel for joining us. I know these are sensitive topics, and there's a reason why you're on here, is to share that perspective with others. And we want to bring the different opinions because you now represent, those other voices that are out there. And we try to broaden, the subject to where it's not only one-sided. So like everyone has said, it wasn't meant here to offend anyone, but to provide a perspective and broaden your understanding of the subject. Maybe there's areas that you haven't looked at, and maybe there's a light bulb moment that you will say, aha, right? Oh, wow. Very interesting that he brought up this point because I didn't look at it from that angle. And that's why we bring these subjects out in Pulse of Polynesia, is to reach out to all of you out there, because we know that you're struggling in some of these areas, and we're hoping to bridge the gap for you. So to generate these discussions, don't let it end here on our podcast. Hopefully this will continue to go forward in some of the shorts that we run out there. So, and also thank you for finding these specific topics. I know they're very challenging. Sometimes there's concerning whether or not we should bring it forth before the community, but that's what we're here for. We're not shy to bring these topics forward. So thanks again, Dasso.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much. I couldn't say it any better, and I can't say anything else other than what you guys already said. The panel, you guys are such an amazing panel. We look forward to having you guys again, and we'll keep everybody out there in tune for the next session that we'll have. And also to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in, and those who are going to tune in later on, we hope you enjoy and take to heart the things that were said. We appreciate you all. And with that said, to God be all the glory. We love you all, and thank you. Have a good night and happy Memorial Day.
Soifua, Manila.
Bye.
Soifua.